Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Casey, and this is Matt with EST 1987 Entertainment. This is going to be episode 18 of our podcast. As normal, we'll jump into games, and we'll jump into our TV and movie news right after that. So we're going to start off with Matt.
What's going on, everybody? Not a huge week as far as big announcements or anything like that. Everyone's waiting on all these big games to come out, but I do have a few things. Mainly just release dates for you, and then a little bit of news shortly after that. But the biggest release coming out in the next week or two window that I've got is the Texas Massacre isometric horror game is coming out on the 18th. The review codes have already been sent out, so we are getting reviews and stuff coming in now. It's sitting at 79% on OpenCritic, which for these types of games, I'd say that's a pretty solid review for the batch of reviews that's come in so far. So I'm definitely looking forward to it. I believe it was someone from GameSpot reviewed it and gave it like a 9 out of 10. Now that's definitely on the higher end. I've seen some 6s and some 7s as well. But anytime, as long as these games kind of come out, and because it's going to be, if you've played any of these kind of isometric horror games before, you know it really kind of relies on the party and the people that you're playing with. But with this being like a horror game, and every review that I've read so far says the horror element is definitely there. It's one of the scariest games they've played, just as far as like the tension that's created in the environment and with the way they've got the gameplay set up. So if you haven't played these games before, a little rundown on how it works is this one in particular is a 4v3 game. So you're going to have, I believe it's 3 people on who will be like Slaughterhouse family members, and they will each kind of have, it's like a class-based system from what I've read so far. So you'll have somebody who sets traps, or someone who's just like the melee guy, or someone who builds, what would you call it? Just
like weapon building?
No, not necessarily weapon building, but they'll like blockade doors and stuff to make it hard for you to get out. And then you have the 3 who are the Slaughterhouse family members, and then you have 4 victims, and you'll have people playing each one of those victim slots, and they start out in the basement of the Slaughterhouse home of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre house. You know, if you've seen the movies, you know what I'm talking about. So you start on a meat hook in the basement. If you start as a victim, you have to get yourself off the meat hook and escape the house and escape the property before one of these Slaughterhouse members find you. And then, so each one of them has their own class base. They can work together. They can also, like, from what I read, you can collect the blood that's been spilled from the victims, because each victim is bleeding out. So it's a race against time to escape because you're bleeding out. So you have
collect
to
the blood for help.
They collect the blood, and they can give it to, I think it said, the grandpa who's sitting in a chair. And if you collect enough blood, then it pings the whole map, so the Slaughterhouse members who are hunting the victims can see where you're at trying to escape. So you want to be quiet, you want to be quick, but they're also setting traps and barricades and stuff that you have to disassemble on the way out. So you can either do it quick, but if you're doing it quick, you're not quiet.
Yeah.
If you're doing it quiet, you're not quick. And you know, they've really, from what it sounds, set up a really good system as far as like how you want to play. Are you and your other survivors working together and just trying to get out as quick as you can, screw the noise and all that? Like, you're gonna have to work together in a sense. So like,
is this going to be a game you can play since you're not good with horror games? I mean, it sounds pretty gruesome.
I've heard it's pretty terrifying.
Yeah.
So it'll be a game that I play, and it'll definitely be one that I'm having to play with people who are talking to me, because I'll freak the fuck out and just X out of that real quick if I'm playing by myself and no one's talking and
have all the lights on.
Yeah, and I'm just scared shitless, or like I got my kids sitting on the couch next to me, like playing on their phones or something, because they can't watch, but they need to be in there with me. So you know what I mean? Because I got to feel tougher when my kids are there. I can't be a scared little baby. You know what I mean? But it definitely I'm a big fan of the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre and a few of the remakes that they've done as well.
As far as movies or games?
As far as the movies. This will be the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre game I've ever played. I believe they've come out with a few over the years. I've never played any of them, but I am excited for this one. So keep an eye out for it if you're into horror games and you're looking for a horror, because a lot of horror games are mostly single player. You know what I mean?
The majority of them are.
Like,
as you get into like the zombie stuff, but
Yeah.
that's a whole different.
yeah, I
kind
mean,
of
like
horror.
the horror, like
Yeah.
it's for real, like I'm gonna shit my pants horror elements, you know,
Yeah.
and for a reason, because it's hard to do horror when you're joking around with your buddy, and I believe we played Dead Space, what was it 3 that was ended up being co-op,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, it was the last one they did on
on the
PlayStation
360 or whatever,
3 I think is what we did.
yeah,
I can't remember.
which we enjoyed it because it was a well-made game and everything, but it was not scary like the original Dead Space.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then
No,
Resident Evil
what was that horror game you were playing last year?
Callisto Protocol.
Yeah.
Same
Yeah.
people who made those Dead Space games. Everybody was kind of mixed on Callisto. It was a well-made game. They switched up a lot of systems and stuff. That was more melee and stuff, as opposed to where Dead Space really wasn't. It was sneaking around and then chopping off limbs with that little laser cutter deal. But yeah, but what I was getting at is this is a horror game that it seems to keep that horror scary element even while you're playing co-op with your friends and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So from what it sounds like, they kind of stuck the landing on this one as far as that goes. So I'm excited to give it a try. It will be on Game Pass, so if you have Game Pass, you don't have to worry about spending the money to pick it up. So I'm definitely gonna pick it up, at least give it a try, and
I'll try it,
and
definitely.
go from there.
Like I said, I've got a few of them that I've downloaded on Game Pass right now that I got to go in and try.
Yeah.
But
So that's the next biggest one. Again, that's August 18th. So what is that? 3 days from now? 3 or 4 days from now?
Yeah, it's Friday.
Yeah, so be looking out for that if that's something that sounds interesting to you. And then next up, we have Immortals of Avium. I don't know a whole lot about that game besides like the one trailer I think we saw at one of the showcases. It does look pretty good though, more magic based.
Was that the one in the
Xbox
swamp?
showcase? No. That one's a ways off. If you want to look it up real quick, we'll give them some more information on that. But that's the 22nd, so that'll be Monday or Tuesday that's coming out. And then the biggest game coming out before the end of the month, for me personally at least, is Armored Core. Now, just jumping in this generation into the into the From Software type of games and stuff like that, I loved Elden Ring. Loved Elden Ring. I did pick up the remake that they did, that FromSoft did, or I don't even think it was. I think it might have been Blue Point did, of one of the previous FromSoft games that came out on PS5. The name's slipping my mind right now, but you know what I'm talking about if you're a FromSoft fan. I did love that one too. I did play some of the Armored Core games. Armored Core games have been around for a long time, so I don't fully know what to expect, but I feel like FromSoft is in like the peak of FromSoft right now. So this is, if anything's an opportunity for FromSoft to really come in and take this niche game from niche to massive popularity, now is the time. I'm excited to see what they do with it. There's been some back and forth on Twitter about graphics and stuff like that as far as this game goes. I don't think any of the FromSoft games look bad, but I don't think FromSoft is more about gameplay than graphics. And if the gameplay comes in and it's good on this Armored Core game, and the fighting mechanics feel good, the shooting mechanics feel good, it's a mech game, it's going to be fun. The reason I never really stuck with some of the older Armored Core games is, first, I was younger when I played them. The systems were complex. Now that having played Elden Ring especially, I'm not as scared to go in and mess around with these systems and figure these systems out, because I know how rewarding it is once you do that, and because the gameplay is always so good from these FromSoft games. So Armored Core on the 25th. I think this is probably going to be the biggest Armored Core game that they've ever had. It's like I said, it's never been a massive multi-million-dollar selling game. So look out for that August 25th. Again, mech game there is some co-op in there, I believe. So if you're looking for a co-op game to play, definitely pick that one up. Then next up, we got Sea of Stars on the 29th. That is a Game Pass game. Not my type of game, but a lot of the people who I respect and listen to in the video game media industry have really spoken highly of the Sea of Stars game. And again, it's on Game Pass. I'm going to give it a try. I've kind of opened up the type of games recently that I like to play. So hoping maybe that I'm going to pick this up and really enjoy that. And if not, it's Game Pass. I haven't lost anything. I've given myself the opportunity to try a new experience and go from there. So look that one up. I don't know a whole lot about it. I know it's not normally, I believe it's just a big RPG type game. Not really in my wheelhouse, but again, I'm going to give it a go. And then, so that's it. That's the last big game in August. And then the game coming up next is the one that everyone... Oh, excuse me. My fault. I missed 2 huge games coming on the 19th. Is that right? On the 19th of this month. I need to double check that and make sure that's right. But Mortal Kombat, the remake of the whole franchise, basically restarting the franchise. And
Another reboot.
It is a reboot, but it's not, because it's coming off the end of that last game, and who is it, Liu Kang or something like that, is just restarting the whole universe. He basically split off, became a god in the last one, split off the whole universe, and created a whole new universe where all of these people...
Yeah, so it's like a multiverse.
Yeah. Basically created a multiverse, which gave them a story reason to reboot the franchise in general. Yeah. You're going to see a lot of the 90s and 2000s characters come back that haven't been in these Mortal Kombat games for a while. So a lot of people who are new to the Mortal Kombat series over the last few games are going to get to see some characters they haven't got to play with. I love Mortal Kombat because I'm not good at fighting games, but the story's always so good in Mortal Kombat that even the single player, I feel like I get my money's worth.
Yeah, I suck at fighting games. I'm going to play it anyway, but I just sit there and press a bunch of buttons because I can't keep up with up, down, left, right, trigger.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat doesn't like that. I think Mortal Kombat is one of the more accessible fighting games, as opposed to like your Tekkens and your Street Fighters and things like that. Mortal Kombat seems to be more of a everyman's fighting game, as opposed to like if you want to be a pro fighting game, like because you can learn.
It's one of the first ones.
I typically start my Mortal Kombat. I try out 5 or 6 characters that look cool to me, and then I always end up back on Sub-Zero. Generally speaking, I end up back on Sub-Zero, and
I like Sub-Zero, and Raiden was always easy to do his moves.
Yeah, his little fly across the screen,
that kind of stuff.
Yep.
But Sub-Zero was down and right, B or something like that. So. But yeah, I always like those 2 characters the most.
And a lot of the characters share button combinations as far as
Scorpion and Sub-Zero.
As far as their moves and skill sets go. But I apologize, I almost missed those. I had them further down on my list than I thought. But Mortal Kombat and Lies of P. Lies of P coming to Game Pass. We were just talking about Armored Core and FromSoft type games. Lies of P seems to be one of those done in the Pinocchio universe. A lot of people are really excited for this. There was a demo that people tried. Everything that I heard from people playing that demo, they loved it. So if you're a FromSoft fan and you're looking for that Armored Core, or you're looking for more of an Elden Ring type experience as opposed to the Armored Core experience, you got Lies of P, again, coming to Game Pass.
Yeah, like I said, I already have Lies of P downloaded, so as soon as it comes out, I'll be able to play it. I pre-downloaded it. So.
Did you play Elden Ring?
No.
All right, well, I will jump in with you on Lies of P and help you get started, because these games are not games that tell you how to do anything.
You just got to figure it out.
You got to figure it out. And it's not just button mashing games. Like, you got to know your armor, you got to know your potions, you got to know how to do your health and stuff like that, which is kind of what kept me away from those FromSoft games, like I was talking about earlier, for the longest time. But I gave it time. I figured it out. I played with some buddies who had played previous FromSoft games before, who kind of helped me in those situations where I was like, I've got no clue.
Yeah, and I've even said before I don't like those kind of games, but it's been so long since I've played them that this new game, it looked pretty good. I'm going to try it out again and see if I like it.
The aesthetic of this game looks awesome. The gameplay, from what I've heard from the people who've tried it, said it's wonderful. Again, with you not having tried one before, I don't know what the learning curve is, but I definitely, especially with it on Game Pass and all the high praise that it got during the demo time, I will jump in this and help you. It's one of those games where don't expect an hour or two in to be like, okay, I've got this game figured out now. Part of what makes these games fun is starting and being like, what the fuck am I doing? And then you get 8, 9, 10 hours in and you're like, okay, I get this now. And then it gets hard, and then it gets harder again and you're like, what the fuck am I doing? And then you figure it out again. Like, that's a big part of the fun of these games. Another big part is like, don't be afraid to die. They're made for you to die. Dying is part of the fun. And
that doesn't sound like fun.
But the payoff and the reward when you finally figure it out and you beat that hard boss or whatever it is that's been holding you up feels great and feels amazing. So I haven't looked into whether this will be like a co-op type game, but it seems all these games are kind of going that way. And again, I feel like these are the type of games where it doesn't take away. The co-op experience doesn't take away from the fun of the single-player experience. It only adds to it.
It has no co-op modes.
No co-op? Well, it might be one of those things where I got to come over to your house, we'll play for a few hours, do the podcast, and then you can come over to my house, we'll play for a few hours, and we'll go from there. But I want you to try it, because then when the next FromSoft game comes out, we'll pick that one up together, because I'm officially a FromSoft fan now. Like, especially after Elden Ring, I put well over 100 hours into that game, coming from like, it's not my type of game. It's not my type of game. I loved it. I got addicted to it hardcore. So, Mortal Kombat, Lies of P, both August 19th. Lies of P on Game Pass. Cannot wait for Mortal Kombat, like I said. And then, the big beast of them all, this is, like a lot of people said, this is where we're going to know how Xbox is sitting once this game comes out. And that game is Starfield on September 6th. Cannot wait. Super hyped. Of course, being an Xbox exclusive title, being a Microsoft Studios game now that they acquired Bethesda, this will be on Game Pass as well, just like a lot of these other games that I've mentioned.
So we talked on a previous episode, what game are we going to start together on? And we decided Mortal Kombat. But I'm thinking more Starfield.
Well, Mortal Kombat comes out.
Mortal Kombat, you can jump in and out of at any time.
Like Mortal Kombat, we gotta pay for. I'm getting it day one. It's again, I love the series. I'm getting that day one. Starfield, also not co-op, but Starfield's one of those big RPG games where if we both jump in at the same time and we play our little games, it'll be really fun to come hop on the podcast or do whatever we do.
So that game's not a co-op like Destiny?
No. It's dude, you have to try it. First of all, it's Game Pass. Second of all, it's a Bethesda RPG, their first new IP in 20-something years. It's space. You liked Mass Effect, right?
Yeah. The problem is, like I said, I don't have hours to play, and anytime I jump on a different game, then somebody asks me, "Hey, you want to get on this game that we can play together?" Okay,
so tell them no sometime. But that's the good thing about a game like Starfield. You don't have to beat it this month. You play it for 3 or 4 hours a week. You get through some stories and stuff like that. You have fun with it. And then it's like, okay, now it's time to go play with my buddies. It's a palate cleanser from all the co-op and stuff like that. And on top of that, it's one of the most expensive, been in development for 10 years type of games. It's Todd Howard, it's Bethesda, it's what they do, it's what they're best at. So, and again, it's one of the biggest IPs coming directly from Microsoft this generation, if not ever, outside of maybe Halo and Gears. But I would say this is even bigger than Halo and Gears as far as the future of Xbox and the future of Microsoft and keeping this platform going and growing. So a lot hinges on Starfield. for Microsoft as a brand, not for me. I'm a big fan of my Xbox. I'm a big fan of my PlayStation. I will continue to own both for as long as both are there. But for a lot of people, a lot hinges on this game. So, are you going to pick up Mortal Kombat even though we got Starfield coming?
Yeah, I'll pick up Mortal Kombat.
Okay, because Mortal Kombat we can play together. That'll be fun to do until that Starfield hits, and then Mortal Kombat will be like, all right, let's go play Starfield for a while. I'll hit you up when I'm ready to play Mortal Kombat, and then we jump in. So that is basically all the updates on games coming out within the next few weeks for you, next few weeks, next month. The one big piece of news that I have that's super exciting to me is, and I believe this was announced last week, but they've kind of put out a small trailer for it and everything. And that's not to say that this game's coming out anytime soon, but I'm just happy they're working on it. They're working on a Last Ronin game, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game. It's being developed by THQ Nordic, I believe, which THQ Nordic can put out bangers or can put out bust, but
yeah, but this is supposed to be a really dark game.
Yeah, really dark. What we were talking about, we would love from a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game or just a movie.
Yeah.
We were talking about how we'd love that movie. Well, now they're coming out with a game.
Yeah, and it's Michelangelo going back and basically getting revenge for
the death
them
of his brothers,
killing all of his family. You know, Splinter, his brothers. I know there's multiple Ninja Turtles storylines. Is the Last Ronin storyline following where he had a sister too? Because there are a couple girl Ninja Turtles too in different storylines.
I couldn't tell you. All I know, from what I know about this, and I've read maybe one or two of the comic books out of that run. Actually, while I was in the comic book store, I didn't buy them. I should have, but it is very dark. It kind of hinges from where the creators of Ninja Turtles were going with this whole IP from the beginning. Because, like you have mentioned previously, in the beginning, this was supposed to be a dark adult series, and then it kind of switched over because they saw the marketing appeal of this, and they switched over to how most people know Ninja Turtles today. So I'm super, super pumped for this. We probably got 3 years or so, two, I would say at the minimum, just because we don't know exactly how long they've already been working on this game. But for them to kind of put out a trailer, all CGI, of course, more of just a story trailer, no gameplay shown whatsoever. But they've probably been working on this for a while for them to go ahead and start announcing it and start marketing this.
I would say so, yeah.
I would say minimum 2 years. We know how development cycles go. As far as delays and things like that, so maybe up to 5 years, but I say give it all the time it needs. Make this game great, make it fantastic, flesh out the story, give us great gameplay, give us great mechanics, and I think you've got something that could bring THQ back from where they are, because THQ used to be huge. They're not in the dumps now, but they're not where they used to be back in the late 90s, early 2000s. It could bring them back up, I feel like. That's my prediction. If they put out a banger 90 Metacritic, 95 plus Metacritic game, THQ's going to be one of your go-to studios as far as we can't wait to see what they're doing next. So
it's kind of on the subject of two things here. So on the subject of how long it takes to develop a game, I mean, it took 10 years for Cyberpunk. They just announced IO Interactive that they're making a James Bond game as well, which is going to be a James Bond origin game made by IO Interactive. Did all the Hitman series, and it's not going to come out until at least 2025. So can't wait for that, because I loved 007 growing up, Nintendo 64. But also on the second subject of Ninja Turtles, you can watch the original 90s cartoons of Ninja Turtles right now on Pluto for free.
Really?
Yeah, they just released it on Pluto.
Really? All right, well, that's super exciting, because I'll be honest, outside of some of the movies,
I've been scrounging for something to
I don't
watch.
care for the as far as like the TV Ninja Turtles, like, and again, it wasn't meant for my age, but I don't think any of them topped that original Ninja Turtles cartoon. Do you? Have you watched any of the newer First of all, I don't like the art.
Cartoons?
Yeah, I don't like the art
I
style.
watched the what was that, like 6-7 years ago, TMT cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
It was good. Not great, but I haven't seen the new one yet that's out in the theater right now, but it has high praises. It has like 95%
things. Yeah.
rating. I think it's like 8 or 9 out of 10 also. That's produced by Seth Rogen. But I'll definitely watch it when it comes out. So
yeah. Real quick, speaking of 80s and 90s nostalgia things, got me a little Trapper Keeper for a podcast. Name brand, baby. Trapper Keeper. All right. That's all I got for games. Again, we're in gaming heaven right now with everything that's coming out. So much good things coming out. So many cool things to try. So many things outside my wheelhouse that I wouldn't have tried before. Thank you, Game Pass, for allowing that. You know what I mean? I know people get tired of everybody talking about Game Pass, but what a cool way to open everybody up. Because I mean, games being $70 now. If I didn't have Game Pass, it'd be really hard to justify going and spending that $70 on something that everybody says is great, but it's not a type of game that I've played before. You know what I mean? So It might be great for that type of game that it is, but it's not something that I would enjoy. Well, I feel like it's given me the opportunity to try some of these other games that I wouldn't normally, because it's not a shooter or it's not an action game or something like that. So really cool to be able to do that, and then it kind of leaves your funds open for some of those other games that, you know, like, I'm going to get to play Starfield and I'm going to get to play Mortal Kombat. You know what I mean? Because Starfield's coming to Game Pass. Mortal Kombat, I have the money to fork out because I don't have to pay for Starfield. You know what I mean? So, but
speaking of games, still, like, I've kind of backed off of doing. Well, like I said, I backed off of like Battle Royale for a while ago, and it was just kind of doing resurgence. And I texted you the other night, like, I've been playing DMZ more, and you might actually like DMZ. I didn't like it at first because I didn't understand it. You got to set different. So basically, you can pick between 4 different maps or 3 different maps to go in, and you have different contracts that you have to do. You set your contracts depending on to what map you're going to try to get your contract complete, to get more XP and things like that. Most of the game, you're actually fighting AI, which they can get pretty hefty sometimes. You can run into players, though, and a lot of people are cool on, hey, friendly, and y'all can join teams. You can actually send out a team invite, and then they're part of your crew.
So,
but you might run into those toxic players that act like they're going to join your team and kill you anyway.
Pop you, yeah.
So,
well, that would be a rage quit, and I'm done right there. So, DMZ, I'm not. Again, I've been out of the Call of Duty deal for a while. It's not. You said it's not a battle royale.
No, so you go to those maps.
You're strictly doing missions just for you. So, at the end of completing your missions, you're done, or is that the point where it's like, nope, now you got to go kill other people?
So you can choose to exfil when you're done doing whatever you want to do.
And when you exfil, does it pop down something where everybody tries to come kill you?
A helicopter comes down. Mm-hmm. So, and then you can collect new guns in the game, and if you exfil them with them, you get to take them to the next game. You can get cards, keys, things like that, and take them to the next game if you exfil with them. If you get killed, you lose everything you had.
Okay.
So, like I said, I don't know if you like it, but it's not the typical Call of Duty, just constant, nonstop killing people.
I gotta see if I still have Call of Duty downloaded. I might give it a try just because I'm still playing Diablo. I'm still loving Diablo, but I've slowed down. It's not an everyday thing for me anymore. If you don't know, they have released a patch. God, I know a lot of people were really upset with the patch for this season 1. They nerfed a whole bunch of players and stuff like that. Me and my wife, if you've listened before, we both played this game. She played a sorcerer, and the sorcerer had been nerfed to no end. Like, she was nothing that was her fault, but it was hard for her to enjoy it because of how much. First of all, her health had been nerfed. The power that she does destroying enemies had been nerfed to the extreme. They've released a patch that essentially fixed all that. We jumped in together the other night, and it was night and day difference. She's having a lot more fun with it now, and you can't blame people for not having fun. You work hard to get your character where you want them, and then all of a sudden, patch comes out and they've taken all that hard work away, and the whole fun of Diablo was blowing through enemies and collecting new gear and new loot and stuff like that, and it kind of ruined that for a little bit. That has been fixed, and on the Call of Duty front, I saw something, and please don't hold my feet to the fire with this one. It was just a quick little Twitter post that I saw, and it's a rumor, but there is a rumor right now, if what I was reading was correct, that it looks like maybe Call of Duty might not be going to an annualized release. It might be free to play and just updated now.
That's what they need to do.
So
And we've said that before.
Yeah.
Like, there's Modern Warfare 3 coming out soon, and I'm not buying it. I'm not, like I kept saying, I'm not buying this one. I'm like, okay, looks good. I'm bored with this. I'm buying it, and then I play it for a few days, and then I'll leave it alone. So I'm just not buying it.
Well, that's what I do every year. I'm not buying it. All right, everyone else is playing it. Let
I'm
me
not
buy
buying
it.
Modern Warfare
I play
3.
it for 2 weeks, and then I'm like, man, this is the same thing I've been playing for 20 years at this point.
Yeah.
And not only is it this, it's the same thing gameplay wise, but now they're microtransaction the shit out of me. Where like, if I want to stay caught up, you either have to play it every single day for hours, or you got to spend money, and that's just kind of kept me away from it. So if it does become free to play, I can see where I see positives for it, but I see negatives. Where if it becomes free to play, it's going to become one of those games where you have to play it every day to get your missions done, to get your gear that you need to be able, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's
only
my
that,
worry.
but with how much money they spent on it, they're going to go up in Game Pass cost again to make up their money if they make it free. They're not going to make.
But see, that's what I'm wondering. They've already got that. They have to already have it figured out. You know what I mean? I'm sure they're looking at the metrics and the numbers and things like that, where it's like, hey, we're making this amount of money off people buying cosmetics and things like that. So if we make it free to play, how many more millions of people are we going to get download that game? And then the costs are offset because now they've got 20 more million people playing it than already were that are buying cosmetics and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that's how Fortnite makes their money. Like,
Yeah.
Fortnite's free, and it's just insane to me that every time a new outfit drops for a new theme that they're doing for Spider-Man or Avengers or Terminator, whatever it may be, people are buying it, like, constantly. So.
No, both my kids do it. Like, they go in every day. They get their missions done to make sure that they're staying where they need to on their battle pass. The good thing that how Fortnite does it, from my understanding, and I'm not a Fortnite player, I've jumped in and out of a couple of times, but never been heavy into it, is as you unlock those things on the battle pass, it gives you enough of those V-Bucks or that currency to go in and buy a couple of those outfits that are purchasable. So
yeah, you'd have to be saving them for a while.
yeah,
Most people,
but they make it where you can benefit without
Yeah.
spending a whole lot of money for the people who don't want to spend a whole lot of money. So hopefully there's a balance found. It's just I know Activision, you know Activision, just from our experience with Call of Duty. Activision nickel and dimes the shit out of people already.
Yep.
If they go games as a service free to play, the only bonus I see with that is now that they're soon to be owned by Microsoft. Maybe Microsoft keeps that to a minimum because they don't want to be, oh, we just purchased Call of Duty. Now everybody is pissed off at Call of Duty because they're nickel and diming the shit out of the shit.
it's alright. That's too late for that.
Yeah, but but I'm hoping maybe Microsoft can reverse some of these policies just because.
Yeah.
Activision right now, the whole way they make money is pretty much stems off of just Call of Duty. If Call of Duty isn't pulling in billions of dollars for them, Activision is a shell of a company at that point.
Yeah.
So hopefully, now that Microsoft doesn't just have to rely on just Call of Duty, they have their whole Game Pass and Xbox and all of their other franchises as well. Maybe they can pull back on some of that and make it not as miserable and make people quite as angry with the purchasing and stuff like that. So, and on top of that, I want them to just go back to just simplify that game again. It's gotten so just out of control with. It's awesome that they're giving people options as far as game modes and stuff like that, but like me having not been real into it the past few years, the few times I've jumped in with you, it's like this isn't anything I remember of Call of Duty. Like it's so it's so. And I guess a lot of that's my fault too because I haven't kept up with it like I should have, but I wasn't having a good time because I went from, all right, this is your map, you go kill people, you respawn when you die and you go kill people, to, all right, hey, we got to go over here, we got to collect this contract. Oh shit, Matt, you're dead. Let me come pick you up because you just got sniped from a quarter way across the map from a guy you couldn't see.
And that still happens occasionally, but they've really cut back on. I don't see as much hacking anymore in Call of Duty like I did in World War One and Ashika, not Ashika, the island, Rebirth Island. Mm-hmm. It's not near as bad as it was, but I'll still see that occasionally. But it seems to be a little more leveled out for skill based now. But
yeah.
Anyway,
well, I know a lot of that's on me. It's like get good, you know what I mean? But
yeah.
There's so many games out to play now. Like I don't want to spend all my time playing Call of Duty to get good, and then I've not played all these other games that I could have been playing.
Yeah.
So I want to get back into it because I do miss shooters. There haven't been a whole lot of shooters that have come out that I've really enjoyed. And if nothing else, Call of Duty's mechanics and gameplay, their shooting mechanics are great. They're known for that. That's why it's one of the best selling games in the world every year. So
anyway, we're gonna move on to the TV and movie news real quick. Blue Beetle does come out Friday. It's got 7 out of 10 stars. 94% Google users like it. I did look at the reviews. They're all foreign. Not to say that they don't have good taste, but I do notice that movies that have good reviews this quick before it's actually released in America, once it comes out in America, it may drop. We'll see.
We also have a lot of shitheads here too. Who is like,
spoiled.
oh, I don't like DC. I'm gonna go create 50 accounts just to put a negative rating and bring the rating down. So, like that is a thing. I'm sure that happens everywhere too. But God damn, we got some dickheads in America that do that shit.
They are trying to make this into a trilogy if it does well, according to the director. So we'll see. And this is supposed to be canon for the new DC. And of course, again, they say that before it comes out just to try to get you to go see it. But we'll see what happens.
They don't want you to think this movie means nothing. And
yeah. So,
but with that, I've read a couple of the reviews, and from what I saw, the story, they said the story's good. They say the one part where it's lacking is the villain is not all that. They say the villain's not up to snuff with the rest of the movie, basically. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's kind of lacking in that aspect, but other than that, like the rest of the movie's great. Like you said, funny,
lighthearted, and good action. So,
and the trailers look fantastic for it.
Yeah. So, anyway, moving on, Expendables. Sylvester Stallone's Expendable franchise coming out next month, September 22nd. It's got some pretty good martial artists in it that we talked about from The Raid and
Tony Jaa,
Ong Bak. So can't wait for that. It is going to be probably a cheesy 90s action movie, and I can't wait for it. So
you are here? Are you theater going to see that one, or
I don't know. Like that is a really, those type of movies are good on big screen. So I don't know. I mean, are you down to go see it?
I'll go see it with you if you go see it.
Those kind of action movies
like to
are
go
good for big
support
screen.
those.
Yeah.
I like to go support those strictly because I do enjoy those. They're good time killers. You know what I mean? It's nothing. It's not a draining movie.
It's not stressful.
Yeah, exactly. It's not draining on you. They're fun to go see. Not necessarily something that I need to see in the theaters, but again, I do like to support it. So if they're going to keep making them, people need to go out and support these movies.
Yeah.
And it's a bit of a nostalgia kick for me too. Just a cheesy 80s, 90s action flick, man. Like, I miss those. So.
Yeah, I'm going to see if my daughter wants to go see Blue Beetle this weekend. So, we'll see. Anyway, moving on. Couple Netflix shows. Katla Katla, it's an Icelandic show, which you can do in different language voiceovers. And they do kind of switch back and forth through like native Icelandic language, and some of them are actually speaking English. Kind of took me a little while to realize that some of them were actually speaking English because I was so into it I wasn't even paying attention to their lips anymore.
How do you think of how that started? Because I did start watching it, and I
started
thought
off
it started slow. Yeah,
It started off slow. So it's kind of like a show in a way off Netflix as well called Glitch, which is an Australian show. So basically what it is they're in this semi-abandoned town in Iceland because a volcano erupted and there's just ash everywhere, but there's still like scientists there. You got the people that didn't want to leave their homes, things like that. But this glacier kind of opens up, kind of like a new fault line, and this woman crawls out of it. Come to find out, she's a woman that was trapped in there for 20 years, trying to it's a little more than just trapped. And then all of a sudden, somebody comes back, and then another person comes back. And it just kept me interested the whole time because I was like, okay, I realize why they came back, but that doesn't make sense. And then you figure it out, and why it's happening was really interesting to me. And I don't know that there will be a second season. It was 8 episodes, and if there's not a second season, I'm fine with that because it was a really good, basically long movie. Like, there's always a cliffhanger in movies. There used to always be cliffhangers. We were like, oh, we got to have a sequel now. Like, that's part of the fun of it. Like, it explained everything from beginning to the end of the season. And then some things happened at the end. Was it like, okay, they could carry it on, but do they need to? So, really interesting show. But Glitch was a show on Netflix as well, the Australian, where different people from different points in time came back alive. And again, the finding out why and all that kind of stuff was a really interesting story and premise. Something just kind of original, really. So, like you said, you started watching it. It was kind of slow, but I was like, all right, I'm watching it. And then I was kind of watching it in the background while I was working. And then some things happened. I'm like, I don't think I should do this. I'll watch this right now. So when I got off work, like, I watched it. It was something I had to pay attention to.
I will say this: I have been listening, and I wasn't just on my phone not paying attention. The show originally came out June 17th, 2021. As of right now, there's been nothing saying that there will be a second season. From what I'm reading right now, they said if a second season is announced, it will be by the end of this month. If this article is up to date, I should probably check that out. But
yeah, just go to the top and see the date.
It says it was well received so far, sitting at an 8 out of 10 rating on IMDb.
Yeah,
and
it was a good show.
A lot of people are really wanting a second season on this, but like I said, nothing so far as far as a second season. And this is coming from Maria Rivera. And this article was written on June 19th, 2023. So yeah, according to this article from Maria Rivera, we should know by
in a couple weeks,
the end of this month, if we're getting a renewal on this show. So hopefully, maybe just like you've kind of just picked this show up, even with it being 2 years later.
Yeah,
maybe some more people have picked it up, realized it's a good show.
I'm guessing that's what happened because it showed up as one of the first titles in that category. So where I hadn't seen it before.
One of them kind of gems that people have just found out and started talking about. So
again, I'm okay with it not having a second season because I don't want it to be one of those shows that it had a great first season and then it gets ruined by a second season. Mm-hmm. Like, there's not a whole lot. I heard I've said this before, but there's definitely some mysteries, but there's not a whole lot more that you can introduce after the first season.
But you're okay. You're okay with no second season.
Yeah.
And you're finished with it, done with it?
Yeah. Right. I watched 8 episodes in 24 hours. So.
All right. Well, I do remember watching this, and I said I was listening, but I don't know if you. I'm pretty sure you said this, but it is like people coming out of a volcano in Iceland.
Yeah, they're all covered with ash when they come out. People don't really know who they are really until they get cleaned up and they're kind of disoriented a little bit. But
well, I know the original person that came out or something like that, like was somebody missing for a long period of time. Where I don't remember, were the other people just people who had gone missing recently, or
you got to rewatch it because she wasn't missing for a long period of time.
Oh, I thought.
But if I say that's part of the mystery, so just know that these people are coming out of the ash.
They're completely black. I remember that.
Yeah.
They're like they look scary as hell when they first come out.
Yeah. So anyway, check it out. Witcher season 3 part 2 is out on Netflix. Didn't even realize it was going to have a part 2. I'm still not going to watch it. So I know there's some diehard Witcher fans, and I love the first 2 seasons, but I just can't. I can't. Henry Cavill's been done wrong, man.
Well, that's why he left, is because from what I read, he stipulated in his contract that he can leave if they depart too far away from what the actual story of the books is.
If they didn't keep with the source material.
Yeah, he was a big fan of The Witcher, the books and the game, and so he stipulated, hey, if the writers aren't going to follow the source material, I'm out.
Yeah. So he's moving on to Warhammer now.
Cool, man. Cool. Like I love Henry Cavill for that. Like there was a lot of people putting out negative things when he initially said he was leaving that show, saying that he was hard to work with and things like that. But like this guy stipulated in his contract, he's a fan of the thing. He doesn't like what they're doing with it. I think a lot of the fans of the show even are saying the same things. They're not liking the way that the series is going as well. So good on him for not just going for the cash grab and getting the money.
Yeah.
You know.
So moving on to a couple new things here. Can't wait for this because it's done by Ridley Scott. Ridley Scott's Aliens, Gladiator. It's Napoleon Bonaparte. It's Joaquin Phoenix is going to be playing Napoleon. It comes out November 22nd. Again, I love both of them. Joaquin Phoenix has such a wide range of acting, and Ridley Scott can tell an epic. Like,
yeah,
I what was that? Raised by Wolves. He did on HBO.
He did Gladiator. Right? Like
Aliens.
He's a storyteller and a fantastic director.
Yeah,
and I think Joaquin Phoenix is one of, if not the top actor of our generation at this point. Like,
for sure.
You know what I mean? How many other
like his Joker portrayal? Yeah. Like,
what other male actors show the range and pretty much kill it in everything that they put out there? He's one of the few right now. So,
but November 22nd, Napoleon. Can't wait to see it. Trailer is out if you want to go look at it. Next is Old Guard 2.
That's that Charlize Theron movie, right?
Yeah, and I just watched the first one again not too long ago. Great movie.
Yeah.
So Old Guard, basically she's been around for thousands of years, and just throughout different periods of time, people die and come back as immortals, basically. And they heal fast, but at any point in time, that immortalness that can expire, and they could possibly die. But
and they kind of like the little bit of the lore that they put in there is like Charlize Theron and some of these other immortals are some of the basically the myths and the legends like that.
Yeah.
In this world of the Old Guard, they're not really myths and legends. It's actually Charlize Theron was one of these people, or one of these other immortals was Alexander the Great, or somebody, you know what I mean? So like they're not played, but they were some of these great people that you read about throughout the year, hundreds and thousands of years of history that we have written down, which I thought was just a cool way to really add something to some kind of a story that's been done before, you know, with the people who are immortals and things like that. But like,
but a little bit of a fresh spin.
Yeah.
Like at one point, she said she was, worshipped as a god because of her not being able to die and stuff.
Mm-hmm. And they kind of go back when they're kind of talking about their history. If I remember, again, it's been probably a year or two since I've seen this movie, but if I'm remembering correctly, they go back telling backstory, and they kind of go back to some of these battles that they've been in and show the battles. And
two of them killed each other in the Spanish War, I believe it was, something like that.
They go back to like
and then
the
they both
Viking
come back
age.
alive. Yeah.
They go back to like the Viking age, and they go back to all these different ages and stuff, and show like Charlize Theron as her character fighting, or one of the other immortals fighting in one of these big wars and stuff. And like it's I think it's an underrated movie. Obviously, it did pretty well because they are making another one.
Yep.
But I don't feel like enough people talked about this movie because I really
And that seems
enjoyed
to
it.
happen a lot with Netflix. Like they're just, I don't know if people are just so used to Netflix having bombs, but when Netflix hits, like what was that movie we just talked about? Tyrone. They killed Tyrone with Jamie Foxx. Man, it was good.
Yeah, but I feel like part of the problem is like they constantly need you to watch fresh content. That
There's
they
too
put,
much.
They
It
put
clouds
something
it,
like
yeah.
that. They put something like that out there. They leave it on your front page for a week or two, and then it's replaced by something else, and then it's hidden. Like unless somebody tells you to watch it.
Yeah, because I had to go
You're
back
not-
and search
yeah.
for Cat Leg, and like it disappeared, and I had to go back and search for it because for some reason it wasn't showing up on my previously watched or continue watched. Whatever.
Yeah, I think they need to figure out something to where some of these they're too quick to say that one didn't work out well enough.
Move it
what I mean?
away.
Yeah, get it out of there. Like, and then some of the shows will stay on my watch this list for 6 months. You know what I mean? Those are the ones that are doing well. It's like, okay, this show's already doing well. People are talking about this show. Let's put something else that we need to build. You know, they need to build their catalog and promote their stuff a little bit better because that was great. And besides you, I don't know anyone else who's really talked about it.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I just watched it again about a week ago, and it's still a great movie. And a lot of the premise of the movie is this big corporation has actually found out their secret and trapped them and got it all on recording that they came back to life. So they're trying to synthesize whatever it is that makes them immortal to sell it. So that's a big premise of the movie. Anyway, so they are making a second one. It's going to come out at the end of this year or the beginning of next year. And I can't wait because it's, like you said, it's kind of something that's been done before, but it's also original at the same time, the storyline.
They did so well with that's what I'm saying. Like, they did so well with the sort. Like, if you're a history buff, like, you get to kind of, obviously it's fantasy and stuff like that, but you got to get to see these cool battles and stuff from previous history. Plus, the modern day story is really cool with them finding new immortals and things like that, and then maybe some of their immortal powers wearing off and stuff like that. But the original was released in July of 2020, so it's been going on 4 years.
Yeah.
Well, 3.5 years now. So I'm excited. I'm super excited. I didn't know anything about this. I'm super excited. I'm glad you brought that up. But when did you say release date was?
The end of this year or the beginning of next year.
Cool. I'm pumped for that one.
So,
and Charlize Theron is great.
Yeah.
It's great. So
I haven't really seen anything that she's done that wasn't that good. Like, that wasn't good. There's some things that are
not great.
Okay, but I haven't seen anything that she's done that's not decent.
Yeah.
So,
cool, man. There's a couple there that I'm really excited about. I'm going to go back and watch Katla now. Napoleon, I'm super pumped about. Like I've said 5 times now, new Old Guard 2. Can't wait.
But
I want to know when Barbie's releasing on streaming because I really want to see that. I wanted to go see it in the theater, but I didn't.
Yeah, it's too new.
Got too busy. So
it's usually around 90 days. So
well, it might be even longer on this one because it's still pulling.
Yeah, I think it made $1 billion already. So
yeah, and it's still pulling in numbers. We have people come in the restaurant weekly now with groups of them coming in all dressed in pink, and you know exactly what they're going to do once they're done eating. So,
man. Well, anyway, we've got more titles, but we'll save those for another day. We've gone long enough. We appreciate you coming back. Again, drop us some comments. YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, EST1987ENT. And we'll be back again next week.
like and subscribe on YouTube, please. Appreciate y'all watching.